I have found it easier to grieve God's got a bigger plan, or loss just happened, or I don't understand cancer, it just is, right? I have learned to grieve that.
Right.
What I personally continue to struggle with is, no, I did say that. I did hurt that person. How do you grieve loss, relationship breakups? How do you grieve death when you did play a role? And I'm thinking of the parent who, here's where it comes to me most. There's an alcoholic, abusive parent. The other parent didn't intervene in a way. And there's some sort of cascading event that ends up in their children experiencing some sort of poor relationship or addiction or some sort of challenges down the road. And as they heal and they begin to put two and two together, they say, I didn't protect my kid from that abuser. I kept inviting that man into our home. Or right? How do you grieve when you did play a role?
It's a huge question. Our mind would always rather be guilty than helpless. You want to blame
So it's about power.
Everything on that moment. Someone died because of that moment. The betrayal happened because of that moment. Whatever, that was the moment. Most moments are complex with a lot of different factors. Now, for your one moment, if I was working with that person in the one moment, we would talk about the decisions you made were probably out of your wounds. Doesn't excuse you. Doesn't let you off the hook from anything. They were out of your wounds. They were out of your fears. They were out of the lowest part of you. You've made mistakes, but so have I. And so that's where we have to begin. And then we also have to begin forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yeah. And that's just simply the practice of saying, I'm not going to carry that anymore.
It's a lot of work. I often say forgiveness starts with a 30-day practice.
Yeah.
People I thought it didn't work. I'm like, that's not how forgiveness works. I use that word all the time.
You got to practice. It's a practice. Yeah. Okay.
I have so much in here about guilt.
I know.
There's four different exercises I take. It's the biggest chunk of the book.
Okay.
And people can go right to this book. They don't have to have bought the original. They go right to this.
Okay.
All right.
Last one.
Yeah.
So I am working through Finding Meaning years ago.
Yeah.
And I read this part and I literally slammed it down. And I thought, David's right. And I don't like what you're saying.
Great. Great.
And yet, this is me on the heels of years of working through what I think has become it's the greatest challenge. I think it's a gift, and it's also one of my greatest challenges, which is what I would call empathetic rumination. I will sit on a feeling or a thing I've done, and I will loop, and I will loop, and I will loop. And my body will go back to that thing I said in 7th grade to that girl who said, I like you, and I embarrassed her in front of everybody. I still can feel that right now, how I hurt her. I can still go back to the things I've done and said to my wife that still haunt me, to the things I've said to myself. I can live in it. And then you had the audacity.
Yeah, what'd I say? God, what did I say? Let's hear it.
To come out and write. And so honest and truthful, with practice, you can control your thoughts. And at the end of the day, that parent who is just eating breakfast and that lightning bolt of that picture of their child in the casket, they can't control that lightning bolt, but they can control every thought after that.
Right.
Or the person who finds out, accidentally somebody's text message pop up on the family iPad, and there's some pretty gratuitous texts between your husband and his mistress. And that image flashes with him in bed with somebody else, and it can't get out of your head. The idea that, it can.
And the idea that, it is heartbreaking that they betrayed you in that affair. that night, those years, whatever it is. Ooh, it's equally heartbreaking that you betray yourself every day.
Ugh, pisses me off.
And you replay it. You replay it. No one betrays me like I betray myself.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about this. When we talk about this, people go, wait, but trauma, you don't have control. Absolutely. The images are going to pop up. You can't control those horrible things that are going to pop up.
Yeah.
You control how long you stay there.
That's it.
How long you linger. I'll give you another example. A woman said to me, David, it's been 5 years. I cannot get the picture out of my mind of my child in the casket. And I go, of course you can't. Of course you can't. But it doesn't have to be where you live. I said, how often do you picture it? And she goes, every time my phone rings. And it was her screensaver.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, oh, dear one.
Yeah.
Dear one. There's some help here.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
some hope, dear one.
Yeah.
That's you're keeping that horrific moment that does not define your child. Their death does not define them.
Yeah.
So we have control over the images on our phone and the images in our mind.
Yeah.
We have control.
So you mentioned something in this book, and it's an exercise that I think is incredibly instructive. And it's one of the classic gurus. And I remember if it was Adler's the one that comes to mind, but I remember a really profound statement that was, I thought if I took away my clients or patients' anxiety and depression, that they would be healed. And what I found is when I just took away their anxiety and depression, they were empty. And I love the exercise that you give, that it's not a matter of just saying, stop thinking about that, but it's the affirmative practice. I am going to have a picture on my phone of my child laughing their head off. If I have chosen to stay in a marriage and rebuild something from the ground up after betrayal, I'm going to put a picture of us dying laughing together on my phone. I have a picture of a really lovely memory of when I showed up for my wife, so that when I'm sad and I haven't eaten well and I'm not sleeping and I'm exhausted,
right,
and that
hungry, angry,
that
right,
lightning bolt of, oh yeah, remember when? It's always when I'm counseling somebody, I'm sitting with somebody on how to be a good husband, and it's like, who do you think you are? It's that,
right,
oh, I got a picture to replace it.
And if I want my spouse to be committed to a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, I can't stay committed to the betrayal.
I got to go all in and risk getting hurt again.
Absolutely.
That's the only way. It's the only path.
And that's the grace. And that's the grace. It's the grace, and it's your only shot at a healthy relationship. We know how many of us take the bricks of the ruined moment in the relationship and try to use those bricks to rebuild the next relationship
excavate
or
and
the
start
rest
over, man. Yeah. But similar, you can stay graveside watching your daughter, your goddaughter, shovel dirt. You can stay there.
Or I can see she just had a baby.
Yeah.
I can watch she just had a baby. There's new life. Absolutely horrible death, and there's new life. And I want to be present for both.
Yeah.
I want to grieve fully and live fully. Some of us know how to attend to the grieving and not the living. Some of us know how to live and not attend the grief. I want to know how to do both.
On behalf of my family and my friends and ancestors that I'm trying to bring peace to their grandkids, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for dedicating your life to this. I'm always nervous about people's body energy when they write something great and you meet them and it's a little bit, Thank you for just being a graceful person.
Oh,
that's a blessing.
Thank
you.
Thank you. It's my honor, man. You're one of my people. I love watching you. I love listening to the podcast.
You're a gift. Thank you, my brother. And I wish you much grace, and then can't wait to get you back.
Thank you. I agree.